It's been a long 6 months since we wrapped up the 2022 season back in Portland on Labor Day weekend of last year. Off-season testing, a lot of stuff happening in the program. Of course, a major rebranding as well. We were the Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires. Now we are the USF Pro Championships presented by Cooper Tires. So rebranding there as well. Of course, the program, always starting in USF Juniors, moving to USF 2000, and the top level of our program now, the USF Pro 2000 drivers. We're here at the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg to start off the 2023 season. Always a really challenging circuit for all of the drivers. The one joining me here today, Christian Brooks, knows more about that probably than anybody else, but he had a fantastic day yesterday and he's going to be starting well today. Great racetrack here. 12 corners, very tough. We call it the Concrete Canyon for a reason. It's lined with fences and concrete barriers. The track, of course, not even a racetrack. It is an airport throughout the year. It's city streets, it's concrete, it's pavement. It is very challenging for all of these drivers. And let's bring in Christian right now. Christian, obviously the huge story, we have to go back to last year. First and foremost, you put it on the pole for Turn 3 Motorsports for race number 1 of the doubleheader in USF Pro 2000. But last year, big for you. You're a rookie in the program. You got into the wall in qualifying, and it really changed your entire season.
Yeah, it was super unfortunate last year. And, at this place to be quick, you really have to take everything out of the car, everything out of yourself, and, push the limits. And so last year I pushed it a little bit too far. And, I've been dwelling on it for just about a year now. So it was very tough, off season, trying to get things back together to get back on track here this year. But, there was no better feeling than coming back and, I wouldn't say conquering my fear because I was never fearful, but just definitely proving that I have what it takes here. And, I've had good results at this track in the past. I've started on the pole here and made it happen. And, now we just have to do it again today and tomorrow.
Just a quick rewind of what happened last year. Of course, in qualifying, Christian was running extremely well, got into the wall in turn number 3, ended up in the turn 4 wall, and the damage hurt his budget enough that we weren't able to see him for the remainder of the season. But as he just said, non-stop work to try to put the funding back together to get back here again. And then, Christian, that's what kind of makes the story so intriguing is the fact that not only is a pole huge to start the season, but it's a pole coming back from that last year. To be able to put that behind you, how were the laps afterwards? How was the cool-down lap thinking, man, I just put it on pole after what had happened in 2022?
Yeah, for sure it was the most emotional I've ever been behind the wheel. At first, I actually couldn't believe it. Everything from coming into the pits and having the team cheering me on to, getting the pole check, it was actually unreal. And, the car that Turn 3 gave me was fantastic. So really, I just did my job out there, and I figured it would be in the top 3, but I didn't know it was going to be pole. And like you saw, the field is so tight. So just definitely very, very happy with the team and happy with myself.
You've had success here. You know this racetrack. You know how to get around it quickly. You've won here in USF 2000. Let's tell the viewers, what's it take to go quick around here? Because you almost have to have a level of courage, but man, you got to be quick on the hands because the car gets really, really unbalanced.
Yeah, it's a bumpy circuit, and especially since we went out before IndyCar, the track wasn't as grippy as it normally is, and the track's changing every lap as well. So you definitely have to be wary of the changing conditions and definitely push it to the limit. To be fast around here, you have to be braking as deep as possible. And like you said, the concrete canyon. So it's not an easy task, but you have to lay it all on the line, and that's what we did. It was definitely the nerves were high coming into this weekend because I knew I had to give it all to make it happen. But I'm really glad I did.
Obviously a late signing for Christian to come in here. And one of the big things is this is the biggest field in the USF Pro 2000 category we've had since 2014 at 20 cars, a massive field, fantastic drivers in this program. Christian's up against some of the best we've ever had in this ladder program. Let's just look forward. We're getting ready to go racing right now, Christian. We're going to come back with the lineup, but before we do that, what are your thoughts? What do you got to do to win this race?
You just have to control the race. The aero wash is pretty big here, so just making sure you get a good run out of the last corner so they can't dive you into 1. Obviously getting through 2 and 3 so they can't dive you into 4. Just basically not making any mistakes is the name of the game, and everybody's really quick behind me. I know that, so just being a little bit conservative and making sure obviously keep it out of the wall and hit my marks.
That's it. It's one thing I preach all the time about the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Don't make any mistakes. Someone will. If you're the driver that doesn't make mistakes, you may find yourself on the podium, either maybe on the top step as well. Folks, right after this break, when we come back, we're going to give you the driver lineups. It's time to start the 2023 season.
It's your Uncle Cooper. Your SUV is a multi-purpose tool, like a corkscrew fish scaler. And that means your tires should be multi-purpose too. Like these Cooper rugged Treks. They're tough, but also run smooth as butter. And with dual sidewalls, it's like having a multi-tool that can look like a completely different multi-tool. Don't take that idea, by the way. I'm gonna patent it. Go with the Coopers. Cooper! It's your Uncle Cooper. Sure, once in a blue moon, you might need your tires for hauling a horse in a hailstorm. But most days, you're gonna need your tires for tougher things, like teaching your sister's kid how to parallel park. Thankfully, these Cooper Enduramaxes aren't just tough, they're everyday tough. Okay, there's a lot of improvement. Go with the Coopers. Cooper! It's your Uncle Cooper. If you and your truck are constantly tackling the regular duties of the day, go with a tire that can handle them all. Oh, man. I stepped in it. Go with the Coopers.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are back here trackside for the first time of the 2023 season for the USF Pro Championships presented by Cooper Tires. Excited to be here to get the season underway. The first of 4 races for this program. It'll be USF Pro 2000 presented by Cooper Tires, the top level of the rung that was formerly known as the Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires. We've done off-season branding. It's now USF Pro 2000. Folks, my name is Rob Howden, the voice of this series, joined, of course, by the voice of the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, Todd Lewis as well. Todd, a little less windy today, which is nice. Temperature still in the high 70s, 79 degrees here trackside for those of the people tuning in from around the country and around the world with our international field. It's almost time to start the season.
Beautiful conditions here in St. Petersburg, as you know to expect for the start of the season. A little bit different than what the drivers experienced yesterday during their practice and qualifying sessions. There will also be a lot more rubber down on the track from what they've experienced as well. So the first maybe lap or 2 or 3 of this race is going to be a little bit of learning for all of these drivers, I would think.
Yeah, and especially some of the drivers who had some trouble at the start. There was 2 drivers that I expect to challenge for the championship that had issues in qualifying. That's Joel Grandforce, who had some trouble in the tail of the field, and Liram Zendelli, who had contact as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how things all play out for that, because the bottom line is that we got 2 fast guys at the back who missed a full session. They've got a practice session, but they didn't get that full qualifying session. That's going to be interesting with them attacking from deep in the field.
Makes it exciting for us that are calling and watching the race to see those hard chargers move up through the field, as we expect they will through the duration of this race this morning and this afternoon. But it also creates issues in terms of having to navigate traffic. Some of the parts of this racetrack can get very narrow very quickly, and those concrete walls, as we've seen, are unforgiving.
Let's have a quick look at the field right now. 20 drivers set to go here in USF Pro 2000, the biggest field that we've had in this program since 2014. Tail of the field, row 10, like I said, Liram Zendelli and Joel Grandforce. Zendelli, a driver with lots of experience in F3 and F2. He's running for TJ Speed, a German driver running under the Albanian flag in the number 10. The watch for that white car to attack quickly from the tail of the field. Alongside him, last year's runner-up in the GB3 Series starting. This is his first race for Exclusive Autosport from Sweden, Joel Grandforce in the number 92. Row number 9 will have Nicolas Monteiro on the inside. In the number 81, the Brazilian with a brand new team, Neotech. He'll be the 81 starting 17th alongside him. Out of Avon, Indiana, it'll be the number 47 at Jackson Lee for Turn 3 Motorsports. Up now to row number 8 on the inside, Bajoy Garg, the Californian, in the number 7 for D-Force Racing starting 15th. Outside of that row, starting in the 16th spot, Lindsay Brewer, young lady out of California for Exclusive Autosport in the C4 Energy machine. She had a great couple of runs last year, a full season on the docket here for Lindsay Brewer today. Row number 7 will have Christian Weir, driver we saw in USF 2000 for 2 years, making his move up with TJ Speed into this USF Pro 2000 category. He'll start 13th alongside Ricardo Escoto, the driver out of Mexico for Jay Howard Driver Development. Row number 6 will see Jordan Missig on the inside alongside Jack William Miller. Missig for Pabst Racing, Jack William Miller for Miller Vinatieri Motorsports. Move now to row number 5, into the top 10 right now. Jonathan Brown starting on the inside for Turn 3 Motorsports, the Irishman in the number 2. And on the outside from Scottsdale, Arizona for Pabst Racing, one of the championship contenders last year in USF 2000, Chase Denmark. Moving now to row number 3, Risu Sujima, who has moved over from a European program, the American running for Jay Howard Driver Development in the number 6 spot. And then the winner last year, the champion from USF 2000, Michael D'Orlando, will start in the 6th position for Turn 3 Motorsports. Row number 2 will have Kiko Porto on the inside and Miles Rowe on the outside. Porto for D-Force Racing, a former USF 2000 champion, and Miles Rowe for Pabst Racing with Force Indy in the number 99 starting in 4th. Into the front row now, the driver on the outside of the front row, his rookie run here, Francesco Pizzi, the Italian for TJ Speed, will start off pole, but the driver who wrecked here last year ended his season with a wreck in qualifying for Turn 3 Motorsport on the pole out of Santa Clarita, California. Christian Brooks on the pole position. Time to fire things up, folks, for this Discount Tire GP of St. Petersburg. And joining us down on pit lane with Anderson Interior Contracting to give the command to start engines, Mark Sokoloff.
Drivers, on behalf of Anderson Interior Contracting, start your engines.
Engines firing down on pit lane, and we are ready to fire things up. Todd, it's time to get this season underway, all the off-season testing. It's been 6 months since we've been on the racetrack back in Portland, so these drivers are all itching to go back wheel to wheel. They got a practice session, they got qualifying, but there's nothing like wheel to wheel or a start here at St. Petersburg.
It's these drivers in the USF Pro 2000 Championship have experienced this a little bit before, but still it is the first race of the season. It's the first race weekend of the season. There's the excitement, there's the anticipation, and there's also that nervous energy that a lot of drivers will have as well. Hopefully they can channel that all into a positive direction, especially getting through these first couple of corners and getting us a good-looking field coming around this 1.8 mile 14-turn circuit and not have any issues. But as we've seen at the start of the season, there's the hype, there's the excitement, the anticipation, and everybody gets a little sometimes over their front feet, to use the skiing analogy.
Well, and the thing about St. Petersburg is, like you said, so excited, ready to go. It's so enticing coming into turn number 1. It's the widest any racetrack we have coming into the season. Into turn number 1, it's so wide. You want to go down to the inside. It's there for me, but nobody's been down there yet. It's dirty. There's paint down there. There's zero grip down there. Yeah, it looks like you can go through there and potentially end up with the race lead, but you end up usually shooting through the corner and potentially into the wall on the other side.
Yeah, that's where we've had difficulty. The other corner this year that we're watching, of course, is corner 4. Coming out of 3 and then towards corner 4, we saw a number of drivers in practice and in the qualifying sessions for the USF Pro 2000 and the USF 2000 series have some challenges heading down into corner 4. That seems to be the one that's catching a lot of drivers out in just about every series so far this year. But now everybody's out on that pace lap, starting to warm up those tires and getting set to line up 2 by 2 coming out of that hairpin headed for the start-finish line.
Indeed, a bit of a bump in turn number 3. The bumps into the braking zone at turn number 4. A challenging racetrack for sure. Time to start the 2023 season. Brooks and Pizzi on the front row. Porto and Rowe on row 2. Ushijima and D'Orlando row 3. Brown and Denmark row 4. D'Alba and Sundaramurthy will round out the top 5. Missig and Miller on row 6. Weir and Escoto row 7. Garg and Brewer row 8. And Monteiro and Lee row 9. Zendelli and Grandforth on row number 10. Tail of the field lagging back a little bit. Everybody coming into position. And no, yellow flag will fly. The tail of the field was not there. We will not go green this time by. So I have a feeling the leaders probably got out of pit lane. checked out a little bit. They didn't form up early. You can't hear it. We can't hear it. But they can all hear race control, and I think they're probably getting maybe a little bit of instruction as they roll around the racetrack here.
What was it we were talking about with excitement and anticipation of a new season? And again, that's understandable. Most of these drivers are teenagers. They're young, and it's understandable to be enthusiastic. Just get yourself lined up a little bit better. The first 8 rows looked great. It was those last couple that were a little bit straggling.
And they just couldn't get caught up. I think the guys kind of bailed out of there pretty quickly, and you go through some of the tighter corners, and the guys further back just can't quite catch up because you can't roll that much speed, especially on cold Cooper tires. And a number of these drivers will have used these tires already in qualifying. I did see at least one sticker set of tires out there. And remember, the guys that didn't get on the racetrack, whether it be Grand Force or Zindelli from the tail of the field, they're probably going to have another fresh set of tires that they'll be able to use either in this race here or potentially in race number 2. In this USF Pro 275, because we have another big race for you after the main event on Sunday afternoon. There he is right there, Christian Brooks out of Santa Clarita, California. Last year, starting his rookie season in this USF Pro 2000 Championship, was on pole, final lap of qualifying, hits the wall in turn 3, ricochets across and hammers the wall in turn 4, wrote the car off, and the damage to that race car, essentially the budget, gone for the 2022 season. He had to sit on the sidelines all year long. He is so excited to be back. Field getting himself back around again. They'll have to whoa it up when they come onto the front straightaway. And again, it'll be Brooks on the inside, Pizzi on the outside. Let's get this season underway. Field set as they'll close up on our flagman Aaron Likens, and we are green, green, green. Drivers racing down into turn number 1. We'll cross our fingers that everybody able to get through cleanly. Brooks is the first driver through, and followed closely by Kiko Porto. A little bit of a bunch up further back. Zindelli to the bottom. Grand Force tries to go around the outside. So those 2 very quick drivers starting at the very tail of the field. Row number 10. Watch them to get a couple of spots here early. Good start, though, for Christian Brooks as he'll work his way down into turn number 4. Everybody pretty close. A couple of drivers defending. There's a lockup right there. Oh, I was almost contact deep in the field. I want to say that might have been one of the other. Oh, yeah, then we have cars actually wrapping it up in the end. I looked down to see which car that was and potentially locked it up. I think it might have been Ricardo Escoto in the Jay Howard driver development car, but we are going to go full course yellow as we had at least one driver lock it up coming into turn number 4. Full course is out. Contact on the opening circuit. We mentioned turn number 4. Even the IndyCar drivers talking about the fact that when they got under there on the brakes, hey, Scott Dixon had trouble there. Anybody could have trouble in that corner. Got in there. Somebody locked it up most definitely and went around.
That's maybe the best understanding of difficulty. If Scott Dixon has trouble with corner number 4 in the Indy cars, you know it's a challenge for everybody else. And we saw that they were 2 or sometimes 3 wide coming through those first couple of corners. When you're going down or attempting to go down the inside of corner number 4 in that right-hander, it is very tight and difficult to get slowed down. Let's have a look at a replay and see if we can catch what happened.
So here's the shot from 5 back to 4. Everybody kind of getting through here cleanly. Let's see which driver comes locking up through. Oh, that's a spin. So someone got hit from behind coming into the corner and got looped back around. Not quite sure which driver that might have been, but one of the drivers into the braking zone of turn number 4. There's Lindsey Brewer coming through cleanly. That might be Zindelli, who's getting himself turned around as well. One of the drivers worked his way down. That could be the number 19 potentially of Jordan Missig, who has gone to the tail of the field. Jackson Lee, I think, no, Jackson Lee able to get through. Looking at the drivers down. Michael D'Orlando, Ricardo Escoto, and Jordan Missig. No laps yet at all for Yuvan Sundaramurthy or Ushijima as well. Here's the number 4 coming into pit lane right now as well. That's Escoto. He's lost his front wing. So again, as I said, off the start, we did not see them come back around. So far, the driver's not coming back around to put lap number 2 in the books. D'Orlando and Missig. Sundaramurthy and Ushijima not coming through as well. I wonder if they're actually on track, if that's a transponder issue or what it may be. But again, issues here early on. We had a bit of contact going down into turn number 4.
The 4 car of Escoto may have been the one that got into the back of one of the other runners, lost that front wing and turned the other cars around.
Well, we talked about the fact that Escoto was the driver who was coming in there hot, big time. Maybe we can go back and see if we can't get that replay of them coming down from 3 to 4 here. We saw Escoto lock it up. They looked to me like everybody was kind of transitioning through, but he may have got into the back of the driver just in front of him, which would have been Jordan Missig. So here's another shot at it. Here's Christian Brooks and Kiko Porto coming through. Keep an eye in the further back here. We talked about Escoto, the blue and black car locking up the brakes. You'll see him kind of right in the middle over that yellow line. He's trying to go deep. He locks up. Yeah, there's Jordan Missig right here. Missing, I thought it cleared him. And no, he's through. Oh, Missing actually comes across and gets in to the 32 of Christian Weir. So it wasn't a Scoto that got into the back to him. Missing trying to come across all the way down to the inside. So here's the shot here. You'll see the car of Weir potentially coming through there. There's the contact there of the number 32. That's Weir's gone around in the TJ Speed. I thought it might have been Zendelli. Here's Zendelli coming through in the other white car and Grandforce. So both of those drivers coming through cleanly. They go up a couple of spots. So, in fact, how about this? Grandforce ends up going up to, I want to say, what's that, 7th? He goes to 8th, and Zendelli in 9th. So those drivers taking full advantage of it. Being told right now that Yuven Sundermurthy is having a transponder issue. He is right behind De Alba. So move those guys back a couple of spots. So right now it's Brooks, Porto, Rowe, Pizzi, and Denmark. Chase Denmark, your top 5. Jack William Miller 6th, Salvador De Alba 7th. Yuven Sundermurthy does run 8th on the racetrack. If you're looking at live timing, there's an issue there. 9th and 10th, Grandforth and Zendelli. They started 19th and 20th. Split the field on the opening lap.
That's, well, taking advantage of the circumstances that presented in front of them with other cars getting touched, turned around, and sent spinning. They were able to maneuver and tactfully get their way up through half of the field and now find themselves in and around the top 10. So again, the clock is running on this session as well for the USF Pro 2000 series. So once they get the field bunched back up, once we get the restart, hopefully pretty quickly, they'll have an opportunity to gain even more positions.
Yeah, that's tough contact between Missing and Weir, because Weir's down the inside, and it's the opening lap. Everybody's kind of diving down the inside. Missing probably should have gave him a little more room to the inside, and Weir's sort of down at the bottom there. He's trying to pinch himself in, but again, it's not like he overshot the corner. He was just getting to the corner, and Missing was coming across the bow from left to right. So all in all, not a great run there. There's Jordan trying to get himself still rolling here. I would assume that potentially Ushijima may still be on the track with a transponder issue as well. We'll try to pick up him visually. But the field now working its way through the incident scene. We'll get some yellow flag laps here. I think we'll put it next to that first box, because that's the second box. First box was a clean start, check mark. Second box, get through turn 4 cleanly, or get through the opening lap cleanly. That's an X.
To be continued, I think, is how we want to phrase that. Escato is now hustling his way around, so he's going to catch up with the back of the field and then use the rest of this session to try to maneuver his way forward. You detailed it a little bit just before the start of the race with Christian Brooks, and the trouble he had last year. Looked to be on his way, starting off a tremendous season, then had the crash, then set him on the sidelines. How much is he thinking about redemption this year? You mentioned you had a chance to talk with him a little bit, to qualify on pole and start and essentially restart last year on the pole position this year.
Well, you go back to the fact that when he came in USF 2000, he was always very good here. It was the first race of the season at one point. Remember, we had it at the tail of the season, actually the following year, because of the COVID change in the schedule. So he's always been really good. He's a winner here in USF 2000. Makes the move up to Pro 2000 with Exclusive Autosport. He feels good. He's out there. Practice was good. He's qualifying. This is last year, 2022. On the pole, provisional pole, hits the wall in turn 3 and goes off. You think about, as a driver, when you're on the sidelines for a full year, you had everything lined up to go for a championship. We'll talk more about it during the race, but they're all running for $1.3 million in scholarships. It's over $650,000 what he was racing for, and the scholarship ultimately won by his then teammate Louis Foster. You come into this season, puts together a program to be able to go racing. OFTV is a sponsor of the machine and the program, and here he is coming out of the gate and having to control the emotion, like you said. Hey, I'm so glad to be here, so excited to be part of this program, but he knows he's fast here. Confidence for a race car driver, you just can't understate it, how important it is. You can be the fastest driver on the racetrack. If you don't have any confidence in yourself, you're not going to be quick. And we know that Christian fully confident what he's able to do here. Turn 3 Motorsport, Peter Dempsey's operation very quick. They have 4 cars under the tent, so lots of data for him as well. But I think emotionally and for him, the recovery, the redemption from last year, to be able to put it on pole to start this story, I think is one of the biggest things we've seen so far.
A little over 35 minutes left in this session. It's Christian Brooks, Porto, Rowe, Pizzi, and Jace Denmark, the top 5 as they run. 4 laps completed. We are under caution, full course caution for an incident in turn number 4 on the first green flag lap. Looks like we're getting pretty close to having that cleared up as well. So we should begin seeing these drivers start to scrub the tires one more time, back and forth, to try and generate a little bit of heat in them. They're just cleaning up the last of those cars through corner number 4, it looks like now, and hopefully they'll get those AMR safety vehicles off the track pretty quickly.
We have to think, obviously, pulling out the flatbed for Jordan missing the contact when he kind of backed it in was likely some rear suspension as well, either the left, probably the left rear backing it in as it was, damage to the wing, I think, too. So you're not able to roll that thing back or flat tow it, so they're going to have to pull it back up. It either goes on the flatbed or it goes up on the back of a hook. They're electing, I believe, to go flatbed with that. So we'll look to see some of the drivers. There's Ushijima. He's another one of the drivers here. He's right behind Rowe. So Ushijima, I think, is probably up in the 4th spot. We have 2 drivers having transponder issues, both Sundaramurthy and Ushijima. So it looks to me like Ushijima may be behind Rowe. That will put him 4th, Pizzi 5th, Denmark 6th, Miller 7th, De Alba 8th, 9th would be Sundaramurthy, 10th then Grand Force, 11th Zendelli. So we're just trying to restack here with a couple of drivers who are not picking up on live timing. Reese Ushijima being one of them. Indeed, here he is. We're watching actually physically as he comes down the straightaway in front of us. Again, that's one of the big things we've had this year, Todd, which is great. The reason why we have, number one, essentially the biggest field we've had in this category, Pro 2000s, is back in 2014. We had a number of drivers come in, past the start of the new year. Liram Zendelli being one. Reese Ushijima was a late signing by Jay Howard Driver Development. That only happened, announced about a week and a half ago. So we've had a bunch of more international drivers with international experience because Reese is actually American. He just has run his career over in Europe. And same with Zendelli, same with Pizzi. We've had a number of drivers who have really looked at the landscape of the program. That's really what this USF Pro Championships is. It's another opportunity, especially for European drivers who have that big focus on Formula One until they realize that they can't find the $2 million it takes to run an FIA F3. Maybe I need to reset my focus, and maybe IndyCar is a place I need to try to get to.
When you're looking at a multi-million-dollar budget to run in a support series to try to maybe give yourself an opportunity, that's understandable that drivers would reevaluate their position. To try to put together that kind of a budget is astronomical, but that's what makes the USF Championship so enticing for drivers. Is it's affordable, the competition is great worldwide, as you mentioned, from across North America and Europe, and there is a clearly defined path to move up the ladder when you have success in this championship.
And the realities of F3 and even F2 and even F1, as we know, there are the haves and there are the have-nots, right? So if you go to F3, there's a couple of teams you have to be with. If you're with a lower team, you're not going to win races. We saw the top 5 drivers that qualified from 5 different teams. Any team in our paddock, you can win a race with. And that's, I think, one of the big things. These drivers get an opportunity wherever they go to win races. Pace car has worked its way into pit lane. We're going back to racing, folks. 32 minutes still to go, and Christian Brooks jumps on the loud pedal. Back to green flag racing, but here comes a big run from Kiko Porto, the Brazilian, all over him. Brooks is going to go down to the bottom of the racetrack as they work their way into turn number 1. Into 1, and Brooks able to hold it off a little bit there. So again, through these turn 2-3 combination, straight away back to turn number 4. Brooks able to run a full wide line, and that's probably a pretty solid run there for Kiko Porto. Doesn't need to get aggressive right now. He doesn't need to lead. If he's able to pull away like he did before with Brooks, you make it a 2-driver battle as opposed to bringing everybody back in the fight.
Absolutely. If you can drive through there, get this first lap, get out to green, and give yourself a little bit of gap between 2nd and 3rd position, and that'll give you an opportunity maybe later on in the run, because there's still more than 30 minutes left in this race window. There's lots of time for Kiko Porto, who's in his 2nd year in this series, to jump out ahead of Christian Brooks.
Kiko Porto knows how to win. He was a race winner last year, plus the USF 2000 champion just a couple of years ago with D-Force Racing. This team knows how to win races. And again, what do I talk about with the different teams, right? Turn 3 leading, D-Force in 2nd, Paps Racing 3rd, TJ Speed in 4th. 4 different teams in the top 4 right now. Actually, no, not even Pizzi. It's 5 because you put Reese Ushijima in there. There's Ushijima right there, that number 6 machine, the blue, black, and white machine for Jay Howard Driver Development. The American now running strongly into that 4th position as they're trying to break away a little bit here from Francesco Pizzi, the TJ Speed driver, who is running P5. Behind them in 6th spot, Jack William Miller, I believe. No, that's Jace Denmark. Denmark going to work here on Pizzi right now. He is running in 6th, Pizzi in 5th. There's the battle right there. Behind them, Jack William Miller in the red Miller Military Motorsports car out of Carmel, Indiana. And here they come through this tight part of this racetrack. You don't realize how tight the track is until you walk it through that particular section. 4 even seems pretty wide. But when you come through 5, it narrows down through 6 and 7, over to 8. It literally is about maybe 2-3 car widths wide.
It's not very wide, and it's important that you maintain speed through that part of the circuit as well as you're going through the rhythm part, if you will, through 4, 5, 6, and 7, because you need to carry that speed further down towards corner number 9.
Very important part of this racetrack through 8 and 9 down over to the long straight to turn number 10. We may see a pass here pretty soon for Risu Shijima. He's trying to close up here on the 3rd place running Miles Rowe. And let's throw this little storyline here, this little nugget into the game. There's a pass right there. Grab that quick. That's Jace Denmark going by Pizzi. So I'll move Jace Denmark, I believe, up a spot. I think he goes now into 5th. So Denmark to P5 for Pabst Racing. Nope, not quite. Pizzi back by. That might have been further back. That might have been this pass a little further back here through that corner. And that, I believe, coming from deeper in the field, it's very likely Zendelli. That might have been Zendelli getting another position there as well. We'll see if it resets when they come back through. But we've got sophomores. We've got rookies. A lot of the rookies, of course, coming up from USF 2000. Some coming from overseas. As we know, Brooks really is a rookie. He only has a couple of sessions in the car. He actually did a couple of races back in 2021. Let's say that he did run a Pro 2000 in 21. But Miles Rowe coming right up from USF 2000. Same thing with Jace Denmark. Both those drivers was in championship battles last year. Didn't come away with the USF 2000 title, but the skill set's still there, and they won a bunch of races.
And developing those skills at the next level, as you mentioned, with a lot of rookies and drivers coming from other series into the USF Pro 2000, you're still learning about your competition. You have to learn how to make a pass, understand who you're racing, where those opportunities exist. So now that we get a few green flag laps under our belt, everybody's looking for those openings, looking for those opportunities to pick up a position on your next competitor.
That's exactly it. If you've never raced with a Risu Sujima or a Liram Zendelli or a Joel Granfors, you don't know what their strengths are, where their weaknesses are, where potentially you're better. So the key is going to work. You're really studying your competition throughout the entire weekend. That's what's going on with Kiko Porto right now, hounding Christian Brooks, who has led from the get-go. The Californian, who, as we said, will tell the story quite a bit throughout the weekend. The contact with the wall last year, kind of changing his schedule of his career, putting him on the sidelines for the 2022 season. He's back behind the wheel, though, of a Tatis IP22 here in the USF Pro 2000 Championship. Let's take the opportunity to say hello to all of you who are tuned in on the USF Pro Championships YouTube page or potentially watching on USFPro2000.com. Thank you so much. Or maybe you're watching on the USF 2000 app. If you haven't downloaded that app, do that. Get it downloaded and you'll be able to follow all the action that we have here in this particular program. There's that move further back. Pizzi, I think, potentially got by Ushijima on that last lap. Is he through? No. What a good battle we have up here right now. I think he is. Yeah, Pizzi, I believe, able to get by. Francesco Pizzi in the TJ Speed machine, the Italian, sliding by to get that position away from Risu Shijima. So move Pizzi up a spot, and he's going to get challenged here pretty soon as well by Jace Denmark.
Noticing the gap between all of these drivers in the first 6, 8, even 10 cars. Very little gap, very little difference in the gap between any of those front runners, which is what you would expect in these USF 2000 Pro machines, that there isn't much of a gap. But now drivers will also have to start to understand how their car is going to change and how their car is going to evolve over a number of laps. We've got 10 laps in, a couple of them under caution, of course, but now your car is going to change. There's going to be a little bit of tire wear. The fuel's going to burn off. How is your car going to behave differently, and how does that create an opportunity for you to make a pass?
Yeah, a lot of the drivers' cars could be getting better and better. It's going to be. We have a good challenge here further back as well. I believe that's Salvador de Alba going to work on Jack William Miller. I want to say that's probably, knowing we're missing one of the drivers in live timing, I want to think that battle for probably 6th and 7th. Because Brooks, Porto, Rowe, and Pizzi, 1, 2, 3, 4 right now. 5th is Ishijimi. 6th is Denmark. 7th is Miller. 8th is De Alba. 9th, I believe, Sundermurthy. 10th is Grandforce. I'll take a quick look when they come back down the front straightaway, Todd. We'll do a visual on this. Live timing, of course, giving us the best it can, but we've had some trouble with timing for both Ushijima and Sundermurthy. So we'll do a visual check when they come back around. That's deeper into the tail of the field there. Drivers coming out down this long straightaway to the right side there. You can see all the yachts are there, the harbor's right there. This is just such a fantastic location for a race for sure. Drivers again working their way onto the front straightaway. Christian Brooks lead them down. We'll visually look as they come by the stripe here. Indeed, yeah, it's still Salvador de Alba and Yuban Sundaramurthy running inside the top 10. 8th and 9th potentially for De Alba and Sundaramurthy right now. Grand Force in the 10th spot. So those are 3 of the exclusive Autosport cars right now, 8th, 9th, and 10th. Still 25 minutes remaining. Longer runs for the drivers at USF Pro 2000. So let's bring that up a little bit. Part of a development ladder. Youngest drivers in our program starting USF Juniors. Now they're not running here at St. Petersburg, but they will be racing in a couple of weeks' time in Sebring when all 3 of our series are there for an event. Those drivers anywhere from 14 to 17, 18 years of age. But every time you step up, more horsepower, more downforce, you got to be more physically fit. The races get longer as well. That's the cool thing about these drivers. You'll see them one year, they'll come to St. Petersburg and they'll weigh X amount. They'll be in the gym a little bit. You come back the next year after a 6 months off season, they've been in the gym because they're all pumped up and ready to go. That's one of the things the young kids realize. Like, you don't think fitness is going to be that big, but you are an athlete. And when they come back and start taking it seriously, it's so cool to see them when they come to this level.
You'll notice a difference when they have the opportunity, sometimes after running the first year at USF Juniors, that they realize how physical this is and how much it benefits them to be more physically fit. So they will spend a number of months. I'm increasing my fitness. I'm going to increase my program, build up my strength, flexibility, and endurance, and it pays off in the race as well. Just watching the leaders go through and everything remains pretty static. I'm a little bit surprised that Joel Grandforce and Liam Zindelli were the beneficiaries of that early caution, were able to jump up about halfway through the field, but really haven't been able to move any further forward as of yet.
I'm kind of surprised as well. Zindelli was very good. The big window for this, that's our window of time, but we're going to run 25 laps within that. So again, that's what we see, right? Our drivers in the USF 2000 category are only running 20 laps. Well, when you jump up to USF Pro 2000, it's more horsepower from 170 to 250, more downforce, bigger tires, bigger brakes, more of everything for those drivers, so they have to be a lot more fit.
And understanding how to manage their car over that longer race distance as well. As you mentioned, you're just kind of tripping past halfway right now, so understanding, you mentioned the fuel getting a little bit lighter, the normal tire degradation, and the performance changes just a little bit, so you're now looking for perhaps a different opportunity than you saw before with a competitor and an opportunity to make a pass.
That's it, and we'll see what happens between the differences of maybe the setup for both Christian Brooks and Kiko Porto, 2 different teams. Brooks with Turn 3 Motorsport, Porto with D-Force Racing. Both those teams have done extremely well, won races in this program. And we'll see whether or not they have the setup that continues to be good throughout the second half of the race. 14 laps down, 11 to go. Christian Brooks trying to get that ultimate redemption, the recovery, the comeback after the issue last year that put him on the sidelines with a destroyed race car. He has come back with Turn 3 Motorsport and is ready to put his head down to try to potentially battle for a championship. Kiko Porto right there, and Miles Rowe has really impressed me as well. As I said, for all intents and purposes, Christian Brooks is still a rookie in the USF Pro 2000 category, but Rowe, a raw rookie right out of USF 2000. Remember his story here from last year. He was going for the race win, didn't have the budget, only had enough to get past, I think, the second or third weekend. He wrecks with his teammate, with Thomas Naveau in the first race, going for the win. His teammate slides through for the victory. Is his career over? He comes back the next day and wins on Sunday. So Miles Rowe's a guy that continued to win, almost was in the fight for a championship, and actually had a guy named Roger Penske helping him out a little bit because he wants to see him do well.
Like so many racers in this series, he is an impressive young man with his curiosity and his inquisitiveness and learning about the race cars and, well, learning about any subject in life in general. He's a very interesting young man to meet and spend a little bit of time with. And I think that's part of the key to his success is he wants to know, okay, if I do this, what changes? What makes the car better? If you make this change, how can I be better? Where can I be better? That's the curiosity you want to see.
Agreed. We'll dive more into all of our drivers throughout the 2023 season, give you more background. But right now we are watching this race unfold with 10 laps to go. Christian Brooks, 0.4 of a second. That's about the best gap that he's been able to hold here on Kiko Porto. Not able to blow away last lap time by. In fact, Porto about 1/10 of a second quicker. So he's right up on it still. Drivers have been able to worked their way cleanly through the first couple of corners here. We talked about some of the issues of turn number 3. One driver into pit lane with an issue. That is Michael D'Orlando. Wow, your reigning USF 2000 champion not off to a great start as he is pulling into pit lane. I believe 17th in the order right now. Yeah, he's down a couple of laps, about 2 laps down for Michael D'Orlando. Again, driver was very impressive last year. Was part of that 3-driver fight for the USF 2000 championship. He, Chase Denmark, and Miles Rowe going down to a head-to-head battle in Portland. The 2 Pabst drivers, Rowe and Denmark, end up getting together at the start of one of the races. Who's the guy, the phoenix that emerges from the fire? It ends up being D'Orlando. He walks away with the championship, and he came in with the longest odds to try to win the title, but he ends up with the championship, the scholarship that moved him up, of course, into Pro 2000.
That's the paint scheme on the car, is the familiar championship from the scholarship that moves you up. And I believe we talked mostly towards the end of last year, and you said, I wouldn't be surprised if this championship comes right down to the last event in Portland and the last races of the year. And that seems to what happened just about every year in the ladder system of the USF Pro Championship.
So you got to think that he's a championship contender coming in, of course, as is Miles Rowe, these top drivers, Chase Denmark. Zendelli just pulled, I believe, into pit lane as well. Definitely a driver we expected to battle for a championship. He has significant F3 and F2 experience. Liram Zendelli, the German, racing under the Albanian flag with us this year, has pulled into pit lane in the TJ Speed machine. He's probably going to fall, I want to say, to probably 15th. Oh, even further back. No, they'll be, because D'Orlando's actually going to be at the tail of the field. I mean, no, Mystic will be 20th. D'Orlando spot right now, as I'm looking at live timing and remembering that Sundaramurthy and Ushijima still have positions on the racetrack, just that their transponders aren't working. So that's tough for those guys to fall at the tail of the field. You know, and I said to a couple of drivers, Todd, coming into yesterday, I said, especially for the young guys, just stay focused, especially if you're a championship contender. Finish the race. You may not win, but finish the race, because one of your other championship contenders is going to make a mistake. He's going to be in the wall. They're going to have a mechanical. You don't want to be that guy. You want to be the guy that comes out not behind the 8 ball when we head to Sebring in a couple of weeks.
Exactly right. If you are hopeful of a podium position but it doesn't materialize, take what the car and the course can give you. If it's a top 5, great. If it's a top 10, great. Get the maximum out of the car on any given day. And remember, there's still another race tomorrow afternoon after the IndyCar race that you'll have time to refocus and understand what took place today and a chance to bounce back and maybe challenges.
And the funny thing is that really, if you go back and look at a guy like Scott Dixon, that's one of the things that's made him amazing. He maximizes the car. Scott's not winning every race. Sometimes he's 9th, but that 9th place car might have been a 14th place car, but he drove it up to 9th. He maximized it and scored all the points possible. Let's do another full field rundown here for you, folks. I'll see what I can do here as we have about 7 laps remaining. Christian Brooks is your leader. Kiko Porto runs in second. It is Miles Rowe running in 3rd spot. 4th position now is Pizzi. 5th is Reese Ushijima. If you're cheering for Reese, he is P5. It doesn't say that on live timing. He's currently in the 5th spot. 6th, I believe, is Chase Denmark. 7th is Jack William Miller. 8th is Salvador de Alba. 9th is Yuvan Sundaramurthy. Joel Granforth rounding out the top 10. Christian Weir now running 11th. Nick Monteiro up into 12th for Neotech. 13th is Jackson Lee. 14th is Jonathan Brown. As Weir now into pit lane, so that's going to change things. So move Monteiro to 11th. Brown up into 12th. Lee is in 13th. Bajoy Garg 14th. That'll move Lindsey Brewer to 15th. 16th will be Weir. 17th, I believe, Zendelli. 18th, Escoto. 19th, D'Orlando. And 20th is missing. I think that's your full field rundown.
A lot of things a little bit unexpected in this first race for the USF Pro 2000 series this year. Just watching the last couple of laps between Christian Brooks and Kiko Porto, and those lap times are almost identical. A 1:10.279 for Christian Brooks last time around, a 1:10.292 for Kiko Porto last time around. That gap really hasn't changed as we're getting down into the final few laps of this race, and we'll watch this time a 1:10.1 for Brooks and a 1:10.2 for Kiko Porto.
They're kind of going back and forth on pace, right? Let me throw some spotlight on a couple of drivers here right now, because Brooks, Porto, Rowe, Denmark, they'll have experience in this racetrack. This is why I'm so impressed with what Reese Ushijima and Francesco Pizzi are doing right now, because they've never been here before. And again, this is a track where we got 1 practice. We're only getting 4 sessions on the weekend. Normally we get 5, only 4 here this weekend. 1 practice, 1 qualifying, 2 races. They're showing me what they've got, and I love it. I love the fact that both these drivers are here and in this fight. And again, they're coming through. There's Pizzi. There is Ushijima right there. Great to have them as part of our program. And again, for these drivers to be hustling around like they are with drivers behind them with more experience on this racetrack, I think it speaks volumes to their talent. I'm looking forward to seeing what we get to see out of the entire 2023 season.
It's nice when a rookie comes in and gives you that immediate first impression of this youngster has some talent. This youngster has some ability. That's why they found their way into this USF Pro 2000 championship. But it's great to see them translate it right from the start.
Now to go back out to try to lay a lap down to improve his qualifying position. In qualifying, we take the 2 fastest laps of any driver. Your fast lap sets the grid for race number 1. Your second fastest lap provisionally sets the grid for race. In race 1, then your provisional lap, you can improve your position. That may be what we're seeing out of Zendelli. They may be putting fresh tires on to get back out onto the racetrack to try to lay down some good laps.
And that's with the lowest level of fuel in the car with only 3 or 4 laps remaining, and we have a car stopped out on course.
I think that might be the 81 of Nick Monteiro, who was having to run just outside the top 10, the Neotech driver in his debut, the Brazilian. What a shame for him as he is now, but from Sao Paulo, Brazil. There he is there, the Neotech machine, a brand new team, single car effort that has been working hard to get things together over the last couple of months. Ideally, they'll be able to get him off the racetrack. We may go back to what could be a green-white checker, maybe even a little less than that. They're going to come by and put lap number 22 in the books, I believe. Or maybe this is just 21. 22 in the books, so 3 laps to go. And I will tell you this, our race control will do whatever they can to go even 1 lap of green. If we can give them 1 more lap of green flag racing to see how, and let the drivers kind of fight it out amongst themselves, we'll do that. We'll see how it plays out here right now. Here is your top 10. Brooks, Porto, Rowe, Pizzi, and then Ushijima. That's top 5. 6th is Denmark, 7th Miller, 8th De Alba, 9th Grand Force. No, pardon me, 9th is Sundaramurthy, 10th is Grand Force. Brown, Jonathan Brown running in 11th, Jackson Lee in 12th, Bajoy Guard. Fast laps up here for us. Pizzi with the fast lap of the race so far at a 109.8. Interesting thing is if this could hurt a Zendelli who's coming to put on fresh tires. He's not getting that run he needed of about 3 or 4 laps at the end to put laps down. So that roll of the dice to put fresh tires on, not going to work for Zendelli. But again, full course yellow, I believe, is pulled back. You see the light there is already out. We may be going green flag this time. Books this next time by. Will we go back? 2 more to go when we come back around. Indeed, pace cars ducking off, folks. They got Monteiro taken care of. How about a 2-lap battle to cap the first race of the 2023 season here in USF Pro Championships presented by Cooper Tires Competition. Here they come. Brooks with a great launch at a turn number 12. That was the first thing for him to do, was get out of turn 12 cleanly so nobody's dive bombing you down in turn number 1.
He was on the accelerator as soon as he was coming through that corner. He didn't want anyone getting close to him.
1 driver wide coming through the corner there. I think that might be the battle potentially between Sundaramurthy and his teammate Salvador de Alba. We've got a lot of great racing here. Drivers working up front. Here's that big move down the bottom of the racetrack. Drivers thinking about going to the inside. They don't get the job done there. Look at these drivers. Dyson. It's Gramforce trying to get a couple of more spots as well. Joel Gramforce, who started at the tail of the field in 20th, dead last, has worked his way up in the order for Gramforce here to start his bid at the championship. They'll see the white flag this next time by. Brooks leading the way through the opening half of this racetrack. Indeed, look how close Porto is, and Miles Rowe ready to clean up any spills.
That's what you want to do. You want those 2 in front of you jumping back and forth, looking for opportunities, because it may create an opportunity for Miles Rowe, currently running 3rd.
Here comes the last time down into turn number 1. Porto does not look like he's close enough to me, trying to get into the draft. I don't know that he's going to be able to make the move. White flag flying here, start-finish. Will work their way down into turn number 1, and he's not close enough. Here's the dive bomb move a little further back. That's a spot. Ushijima throws it to the inside. Not enough. He may lose a spot, and he does. Jace Denmark goes around as Ushijima throws the Jay Howard driver development to the bottom of turn number 1. Top 3 drivers pulling away. Ushijima on full defense mode now from Jack William Miller. He'll run down the bottom, turn number 9. It looks to me like Kiko Porto may be more concerned about Miles Rowe behind him to potentially go tucked here right now as they come again through that turn number 10 section. Very tight on the exit of turn number 10. Brooks is clean. All he's got, Christian Brooks wins in USF Pro 2000. Round one, race one, winner here in St. Petersburg, Christian Brooks scoring the victory. Kiko Porto coming home in second, Miles Rowe in third, Francesco Pizzi in fourth spot, and I believe Jace Denmark rounding out the top five after a big move to the bottom for P4 for Ushijima, trying to find a way by Francesco Pizzi. We had some ups and downs, we had a couple of cautions, but Todd, that was a lot of fun to watch. We got so much talent in this series this year.
25 laps of excitement here in the USF Pro 2000 series, and just imagine the emotion that Christian Brooks is feeling in that car right now on this cool down lap. A year ago, crashed out, back a year later, a winner.
Top of this show, we had him join me for the intro, Christian. He talked about the fact probably the most emotional laps in the car ever for him as he was driving around having put the car on the pole. He's won a lot of races in his life, karting, USF 2000, whatever it may be, but to be able, in a qualifying effort, to come back after the issues he had in 2022, this is going to be one step better.
Oh, just remarkable. Kiko Porto and Miles Rowe round out the podium.
All right, folks, I'm going to head back down to Victory Lane right now because the drivers will meet us there. What a great way to start off the season. Time to get to Victory Lane.
Thank you, Rob Howden. He'll be back later on with us this afternoon for the USF 2000 series for their first race of the year. Let's check out the unofficial results. We've talked a little bit about Christian Brooks, who scores the number one position. He is your winner here on the streets of St. Petersburg in race number one for the USF Pro 2000 series, followed by Kiko Porto and Miles Rowe. Francesco Pizzi with a nice strong run. We get a little bit of a mix-up because of the timing and scoring transponder issues. We'll take them through as they show on the screen. Jace Denmark, Salvador De Alba. Joel Grandforce with a nice charge up from the back of the field. Of course, had the problems in qualifying, forced to start at the back, but does charge forward. Lindsay Brewer, a nice run for her, currently scored 11th, also started a little bit deeper in the field, but a good run for her, followed by Jack William Mitter, Escato, Zindelli, Weir D'Orlando, who had his troubles, the scholarship winner from USF 2000, Montero, Ushijima, Missig, and Sundra Murthy. There are the 20 runners of the USF Pro 2000 series. A terrific first race. Don't forget, they race a second time tomorrow afternoon. Their second event will follow the NTT IndyCar Series race tomorrow afternoon here at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding. So lots of action tomorrow afternoon, and still plenty to come today here on our Saturday with NTT IndyCar Series qualifying, of course, is coming up, and Indy Next qualifying just ahead of that. Straight ahead will be the GT America Series, who will have their second race of the weekend. Had a very exciting battle yesterday to finish up our first day here at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding. Jason Descalos leads Mimo Gidley and James Safronis to cross the finish line as winners, and there is Christian Brooks, who is celebrating his victory here on the streets of St. Petersburg. There are huge smiles that you can see on his crew faces, and huge smiles underneath that helmet that you can imagine as well. As we told you during the race, he crashed out during qualifying a year ago, and that was his budget for the year. He sat on the sidelines, did not race again in the USF Pro 2000 series, and now has come back a year later to capture the victory. So there is Christian Brooks, who is celebrating his victory with his team. And as mentioned, the USF Pro 2000 race number 2 coming up tomorrow here on the streets of St. Petersburg. Straight ahead, GT America is up with race number 2. That's coming up along with Indy Next qualifying, NTT IndyCar Series qualifying, and much more here at our Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding.
It's your Uncle Cooper. Your SUV is a multi-purpose tool, like a corkscrew fish scaler. And that means your tires should be multi-purpose too. Like these Cooper rugged Treks. They're tough, but also run smooth as butter. And with dual sidewalls, it's like having a multi-tool that can look like a completely different multi-tool. Don't take that idea, by the way. I'm gonna patent it. Go with the Coopers. Cooper! It's your Uncle Cooper. Sure, once in a blue moon, you might need your tires for hauling a horse in a hailstorm. But most days, you're gonna need your tires for tougher things, like teaching your sister's kid how to parallel park. Thankfully, these Cooper and Duramaxes aren't just tough, they're everyday tough. Okay, there's a lot of improvement. Go with the Coopers. Cooper! It's your Uncle Cooper. If you and your truck are constantly tackling the regular duties of the day, go with a tire that can handle them all. Oh, man. I stepped in it. Go with the Coopers.
This is the USF Pro Championships, the world's greatest motorsports ladder program with a proven formula, where top junior drivers from around the world come to compete across the best tracks in North America, where the opportunity to climb to the top is guaranteed, promoting every champion to the next stage, where champions are made and legends established. 52 races, over 50 up-and-coming drivers, and 3 scholarships valued at over $1.3 million. The USF Pro Championships, tomorrow's champions, forged today.
It's your Uncle Cooper. Your SUV is a multi-purpose tool, like a corkscrew fish scaler. And that means your tires should be multi-purpose too. Like these Cooper rugged Treks. They're tough, but also run smooth as butter. And with dual sidewalls, it's like having a multi-tool that can look like a completely different multi-tool. Don't take that idea, by the way. I'm gonna patent it. Go with the Coopers. Cooper! It's your Uncle Cooper. Sure, once in a blue moon, you might need your tires for hauling a horse in a hailstorm. But most days, you're gonna need your tires for tougher things, like teaching your sister's kid how to parallel park. Thankfully, these Cooper and Duramaxes aren't just tough, they're everyday tough. Okay, there's a lot of improvement. Go with the Coopers. Cooper! It's your Uncle Cooper. If you and your truck are constantly tackling the regular duties of the day, go with a tire that can handle them all. Oh, man. I stepped in it. Go with the Coopers.